when setting a goal to lose body fat, it's real common to always set a time frame goal. So, for example, you want to be lean in 5 months, or you want to be beach ready for that vacation. But these time frame goals will fail or are pretty much pointless if you don't know what to do to maximize fat loss. In today's video, I'm giving you guys my top five tips to maximize fat loss. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Jonathan. I went from 250 to 177. I lost over 70 pounds. I did the bulk of it in 6 months. It took a total of 10 months to etch out the details of my physique. But I make these videos to give you guys all the pointers and stuff that work so you can apply them to your journey and get the maximum results. Now, tip one is pretty much straightforward, but can be hard to implement if you haven't developed the skill of meal selection, right? And tip number one is going to be to increase your calorie deficit. So before I hop into that, I want to, if you're first time seeing me, the main way to lose any type of body fat is 3 ways. I talk about them all the time. It's going to be a breakdown of your calories, or how much food you eat in a day, your macros, your protein, fats, and carbs, and your daily activity. That's the walking. That's the stuff we do in the gym. Now, tip number one, in terms of increasing the calorie deficit, I track my food in MyFitnessPal. So sometimes if I ever hit a plateau, that's the first thing I'm going to look at is how much food am I ingesting, and do I need to adjust the calorie deficit at all? Let's just say, for example, I have my settings set at losing 1 pound a week. Then I might want to adjust that and to lose 2 pounds a week and see what those calories look like and see what eating looks like. Now, in order to burn any type of body fat, we need to be in a caloric deficit, which means we need to consume less than required or burn those excess calories off. Now, a lot of people tend to freak out because they believe that this is the point where it means that if I have to be in a calorie deficit, I have to either eat less, which could be true, but eating less, consuming less calories doesn't mean you need to consume less food. I'm going to say that again. Eating less calories doesn't mean you need to consume less food. So this is why I said you have to develop the skill of meal selection, because let's do this little quiz, right? You can go to McDonald's and get a large quarter pounder, large fries, a drink, and the double quarter pounder. You can eat that for lunch, or you can get 3 red potatoes and lean ground beef. Which one do you think is less calories? If you think the 3 red potatoes and lean ground beef are less calories, you're correct. It's less calories and more protein. So therefore, it's less in calories and it has more nutrition in it. That's what I mean by in terms of meal selection, right? You need to develop. That's a skill that needs to be developed. And if you are going on this fat loss journey, that's a skill that you need to develop as well too. By developing the skill in meal selection, you're going to know how much something costs calorie-wise. Then you can make an educated guess in terms of, okay, do I want to consume this or is it not worth it? So, for example, for me, I use McDonald's. When I drive past McDonald's, it's not worth the calories. It's not worth the calories. I don't even find the food enjoying. Like it doesn't even taste good to me anymore. But at that point, I can make eggs at the house and they're gonna taste better and they're gonna be less calories than they would, let's say, at McDonald's or something like that. So again, developing a skill of meal selection really comes from tracking your food and seeing how much things are gonna cost you calorie wise. But even with that being said, even a calorie deficit won't help you if your goal is to lose body fat. Calorie deficit is good. But if this next thing isn't dialed in, which is going into tip number 2, if this next thing isn't dialed in, you won't see the results that you would prefer to see. And this next tip for tip number 2 is always getting enough protein. I talk about this a lot. You notice these tips are mainly related to the food, right? First one was calories. Now we're talking about our macros, which is the protein, fats, and carbs. But I'm saying here in this tip, we want to make sure you're getting enough protein. And don't fool yourself, because if you are not intentional, if you're not really intentional about tracking your protein, it can be really easy to overestimate how much protein you're consuming, or just to not hit your goal at all. And I'm going to be honest, on certain days when I wasn't tracking just to see if I'm just casually eating, I'm probably like 120 grams of protein, if that. But when I'm intentional, then I can hit those 180, 200 gram protein numbers, because I'm being intentional, I'm making sure every meal I have, I'm ingesting protein with it. Protein acts as a dual thing, so it's good for muscle growth. It's the mother of everything on muscle growth and fat loss. But what protein also does too is the building blocks of muscle. So as we're in a caloric deficit and we are engaging in exercise, we are working out, we're maintaining muscle mass, rather getting stronger, building muscle, or maintaining muscle mass. So again, this is what's going to determine, when the fat falls off. Are you just skinny? Because y'all remember Jared from Subway? He just lost weight. That's cool, you know what I mean? But we want to be looking a certain way. We want, muscle definition and stuff like that. So we want to make sure our protein intake is definitely high enough. Going into the next tip is super important, and it's something that probably should be done every couple months. just to stimulate the body. And tip number 3 is going into change your workout selection. So this is just a personal thing for me. Like every few months, I want to switch it up. One is because you can get bored of the same routine, which then makes you not want to do it, which once you don't want to do it, you'll eventually stop doing it. And then when you're not consistent in that gym portion, you're fine on the food, but then once that's not consistent, the other stuff is going to go too. So changing up the workout routines, as long as you're still hitting up the same muscle groups, but preferably a workout routine that can still get you excited. So say if you were doing, the squat, bench, deadlift, row exercises, you might want to switch it up. Maybe you might want to do squat and leg press. Maybe you might want to incorporate some machines or dumbbells or kettlebells. Just change the stimulus up, right? It's good to kind of confuse the body sometimes, because the human body can adapt to a lot of different things. So changing the stimulus up, going for a higher rep range, increasing the weight, maybe incorporating some power lifts up in there as well too. Stuff that get you excited, because you'll be excited as you start to slap more and more weight on the bar, or start to hit more and more reps, or just to do new movement patterns all together. So this is something I definitely recommend, and it's something that can help speed up the fat loss process, because once you change the stimulus up, you can engage new muscle groups. With the change in the calorie deficit, with you tracking the protein, all this stuff is going to compound, and it's going to speed up the fat loss results. And another change, as long as we changing up the workouts, there's another change that we want to make, and we also want to change the work that we do in the kitchen. They always talk about abs are built not in the gym but in the kitchen. We're going back to the food here. Tip number 4, we want to change up our meals. So this is really important for me too. I had learned this I wouldn't say the hard way, but I had to learn this as I go along. Is that I started off, I talk about the lean burger thing all the time. I started off eating burgers, and trying to change that to find a substitution for burgers that are going to cost less calories. So I went to lean beef, but there was times where I still had to switch it up, because I would hit a plateau and I'm like, okay, I clearly have to change something. So what I did, instead of going for doing like lean beef or lean beef and potatoes, I may do like catfish and broccoli, or chicken breast and red potatoes or something like that. But you just want to switch up, because especially if you're the type of person like how I was eating the same thing every day. I was seeing results though, but I was eating the same thing every day, and you can get tired of that. So it came to a point where I got tired of chicken breast. So I had to find other protein alternatives in terms of food, along with consuming protein shakes. But man, I get tired of chicken breast. I can't just eat chicken breast every single day. I'm gonna go crazy, right? So I need to have other alternatives. So now I have a variety of different meats and foods that I can eat, that I know that I have the skill of meal selection now. So that I have the skill of meal selection, I know I can pair this with this, with this, with this, and I know how much it's going to be, kind of like off the top of my head already. So I can kind of pre-plan out my day. And I'm not saying I get all these little containers, but I have in my mind, all right, when I get home tonight, I'm probably going to crush a protein shake, have some lean ground beef with maybe some red potatoes. Or I get home, we got, catfish in here. I'll get some catfish and some broccoli on it. I may get, with catfish, since it's like a real lean meat, you get 2 of them, 2 8-ounce servings of catfish and some broccoli or whatever. You know what I mean? And I keep it simple, trackable food, meat, vegetable, carb, or meat and carb. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And I keep it simple, and I season my food. That's it. You know what I mean? But like that's a way to kind of change out the stimulus, change out the meals. You already changed your workout. We increased our calorie deficit. We developed the skill of meal selection. We change out these other things. So this is just one more added layer to get us the better results as well too. Going into the tip number 5, this is the most important tip. Y'all got to hear me out on this. The most important tip. All right, when it comes to fat loss and speeding up the process, here you go. Stop rushing. This is the most important tip, is to stop rushing. I'm gonna put it like this, man. We got to be able to take this stuff day by day, and especially if you're just starting out, or if you fell off the bandwagon and you're trying to get back on, you want to get back to where you were. Say if you already lost 20 pounds, but then you gained 30 pounds, and now you're trying to get back to where you were. Forgive yourself, you get what I mean? But like, don't rush the process, because whatever caused you to fall off before, you don't want to run into those setbacks this time. And if you know what caused you to fall off before, congratulations, now you know to avoid it this time. But again, take it day by day. There's been plenty of times where I've lost weight, gained weight, lost weight, gained weight, and I had to go, I yo-yo back and forth myself too. I don't think anybody who goes on a fat loss journey is just one linear path to success. It's a up and down. So yeah, you have your moments, but with all this time in, I've learned what works, what doesn't work. And I'm telling y'all, rushing is not going to be the thing to do. The stuff I'm talking about right now is, yeah, it's going to speed it up, but at the same time, if it's something that you guys cannot do consistently, then don't do it. I can tell you if you're going to increase your calorie deficit to like you want to lose 2 pounds a week, you're going to be extra strict. When I first started, I didn't want to exceed 30 grams of fat. I was miserable, man. Man, that is a struggle life right there. Not exceeding 30 grams of fat per day is a struggle life. I'm telling you. You can do it for a minute, but then it wasn't sustainable for me. So I at least consume about 70 grams of fat. It's more sustainable for me. But again, I still have the before and after pictures to prove like the more sustainable way can work long term, as long as you're doing these other things right. And final bonus tip: look, we are all different, and applying this advice is going to get people results, but everybody's going to have different results. When the body fat falls off, everybody's results are going to be different. Be content with the physique and the genetics that God has blessed you with, because He made you uniquely for you. I would say, don't compare yourself. Like a lot of times we hop on social media, and I do it too. I'm saying this because I do it, because you may see somebody that has the physique that you aspire to have, and I'm not saying nothing's wrong with that. But he who compares himself among himself by himself is not wise. Okay, it comes from the word. You know what I mean? So again, if it's in there, it's true wisdom. It's true wisdom. So be content with what you have been given. Use the stuff that you already got to win. You know what I mean? And then pursue your fat loss journey. Get to the dream physique you need to do. Use these tips to speed up the process, and then crush your goals going into the next month, next year, next season. So I hope these tips help. Stay tuned for more videos.